Come on guys, let's learn Docker Compose today. So why do we need Docker Compose? In short, Docker Compose is used to manage multi-container applications. In real-time, applications will have multiple services. The services can be login service, payment service, database service, cache service, or proxy services. These are some of the examples for different services. Here, each of these services will have its own containers. For example, my application has 10 different services. Then I have 10 different containers. So each of these will have its own Docker images. Then how do we manage these? Should we create the Docker image for login service using Docker build, then create the container using Docker run? After that, Docker build for payment service, then Docker run for the same. Should we do this for all the 10 different services? We can do that, but that is not efficient, right? That doesn't make sense. Also, there can be interdependencies between the services. For example, before starting the payment service, DB service should be up. How do we ensure these kind of dependencies? So to manage these kind of applications, we have Docker Compose. In Docker Compose, we include all of these services in a file called as dockercompose.yaml file. And we can create all of these services using one command, that is docker compose up. And we can delete all of these services also using just one command, that is docker compose down. Let's see this in action now. For demo, I'm going to use one of the GitHub repository, that is awesome compose, that is officially maintained by Docker. In this repository, I can find many multi-service applications. I'm going to use one of the projects for the demo now. Here we have Nginx Node.js Redis. For Redis is for cache, or Nginx Golang. I'm going to use Nginx Golang Postgres today. So we have Nginx, then for proxy, then Golang for backend, then Postgres for DB. You can find the project structure here. We have backend, DB, then proxy. Let me clone this repository into my server now. For that, I can copy the URL, then git clone, then paste the URL. This is the public repository, so credential is not required. So it will copy the code to my server now. So here you can find awesome compose, that is the repository name. And if I go inside that particular repository, I will find multiple projects here. So I'm going to use Nginx Golang Postgres. So I will go to cd Nginx Golang Postgres. Here I have multiple files and folders. So I am interested in this particular file, that is compose.yaml. That is the file which is used to create multiple services. If I check out compose.yaml file, cat compose.yaml file, I have different multiple lines here. Let's go through each of these lines. First, we define the services. Here we have three services basically. One is backend service, then is DB, then is proxy. So three main services we are using in this particular application. Here DB and proxy will have its own official images. For example, proxy will have Nginx image and DB will have Postgres image. But for backend, we are going to create the image. For creating the image, we need a Docker build. For that, I am going to add build instruction here. For Docker build, what we need a Docker file. For that, I am going to add context here. In context, I'm going to mention the directory which consists of this particular Docker file, that is backend is the directory name. If I go inside backend directory, cd backend, I'll have Docker file. So this is the Docker file which we need to build. If I cat Docker file, these are the instructions. So Docker file can consist of multiple builds. So here build is named as builder. So I'm going to use this builder build. Let's go back to compose YAML now. So here context is backend, there is the backend directory, and the target is builder. That means builder is the name of the builder. Then it uses the secrets DB password. So each backend services needs a secret, that is DB password it needs. So secrets also we mentioned in this particular YAML file only. Here you can find at the last, you can see the DB password secret. And the DB password secret is in db/password.txt file. So inside DB, I will have the password.txt file. And here we have the secrets. Though these secrets we need to add this in backend. So it has DB password secret. Then this backend services depends on another service, that is DB service, and the condition is service healthy. This means backend service will start only after the DB service is healthy. Until DB service is healthy, backend service will not start. Then DB service will have its own instructions, like it will use the official Postgres image. Then restart restart always means whenever the this container stops, it will always restart. Then user is DB user is Postgres. Then the secret is in DB password only. That means the secrets only. That secrets in password.txt file. Then volumes is for persisting the data that we attach to this particular directory. Then the environment, Postgres DB and Postgres password. Then obviously Postgres will use a 5432 port, so expose that particular port. Then for health check, you are going to run this command, that is pg is ready. Then the interval, timeout and retries we are going to add. So when this health check passes only, then only backend service will start. So that is about DB service. Then proxy service. Proxy service will use Nginx image. So here you can see the source is my host directory, host file, that is nginx.config file, and target is in my container. And the read only means I can't change the file inside the container. Then ports, Nginx port, I am going to use 80 port. And Nginx services depends on backend service. That means proxy service only starts after backend service. Then I have defined the volumes and secrets. So this is the structure of Docker Compose YAML file. So we allow different services and each services have different steps. Now I want to create this application. For that, in Compose I am going to run docker compose. Only one command is enough, that is docker compose up. And I'm going to add -d for detached mode. Then if I run this, it will start creating the services. So all the services are created now. Here you can see the DB service is created first because backend services depends on the DB services health check. So here you can see DB service is healthy, then only backend service will start. So now backend is started, then proxy is started because proxy services depend on backend service. All the services are started now. To verify whether it is running or not, I can just run curl command, curl localhost, then the port is 80 here. So if I run this, I will get this particular response. So in the application, we have blog post 0, blog post 1, blog post 2, these kind of details. So here I check the code in backend and in main.go. Here you can see in loop we have added blog post %d. That means it will print those blog post 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Also I can check this particular application in a browser also using IP, then :80 port. So here you can see the application is up and running. So I will get the same details when I do the curl. So that's it. This is how we can create a application using Docker Compose. Then if I check Docker PS here, that is, it will list the running containers. Here you can see 3 containers are running. One is Nginx, then Postgres, and the another one is we created the backend container. So here there is no need to run docker run command separately for different containers. So I can just run docker compose. And if I want to delete all of these services at once, I can just run docker compose down. So it's going to remove all of these services. Now if I run docker ps, all the containers are deleted. And if I go to my browser and if I refresh this, I should get the site can't be reached message now because all the containers are deleted. So you can see this response now because all the services are deleted. So that's it for today. In this particular repository, you will find multiple example applications. So you can try out all of these. Subscribe and check out other videos too, and keep learning.